Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Work the Crowd podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dougie Fresh, and also Jacob Klukas, the brains behind the whole operation. We're getting close to college football, folks. We're about a month away. NFL preseason starts, I think, this weekend coming up. Football's back, baby. We're back. And in honor of that, we're going to go over a couple things. We're going to go over the ESPN NFL roster rankings. Kluge is going to read off what ESPN and show you what ESPN listed off. Then he's going to give you all his rankings and what he would change. We're going to talk about Cam Newton. He's just versus everybody. I don't know what people have against Cam Newton, but they need to chill out. And then in honor of college football, we're going to break down each power, 4, 5 conference, however you want to say it. And we're going to start with the ACC. So then each week we're going to break down a new one.
Couple weeks, yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's jump into the roster rankings here.
So let me get this pulled up. So ESPN had came out with roster rankings to begin the year. And so just giving you the small breakdown. It says, after draft picks, trades, free agent signings this offseason, and of all the 32 NFL teams have their roster set. They asked their analysts where they would rank every lineup in the league. So they combined rankings to form the ultimate preseason roster ranking, considering factors as talent, age, and production. They went along and tried to project every starting lineup too. Whenever I do mine, I didn't project starting lineups, obviously. But so number one they had rated was the Baltimore Ravens. Now on here they did do biggest strength, biggest weakness, X factor for this year, and then one non-starter to know. So Lamar, obviously, biggest strength for Baltimore. Biggest weakness, it said guard. Baltimore's kind of the last couple of years been rotating in and out the middle of their offensive line. So that's kind of a weakness, I guess they would consider. X factor, Ronnie Staley, and then new kicker, obviously no Justin Tucker. So. But 2, I won't do all that for every team. 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. 3, the Detroit Lions. 4, the Buffalo Bills. 5, the Kansas City Chiefs. 6, went a little fast. Denver Broncos. 7, the Washington Commanders. 8, the Los Angeles Rams. 9, the Cincinnati Bengals. And 10, the San Francisco 49ers. So I don't really have a whole lot of issues. I feel like there's some teams missing from this list. Now, for my list, when I did this, I'm looking at it as, if I'm looking at what your starting lineup should look like, how I'm rating your roster is there a Pro Bowl level player at each area on the field? So do you have a Pro Bowl level quarterback? Do you have a Pro Bowl level of running back? Is there a Pro Bowler in the receiver room? Is there a Pro Bowler tight? Going just down the line, do you have a Pro Bowl caliber player? Either, I think they can make it or they have made it before at least. So these were my roster rankings for this year. So I think by far Philly and Detroit are the only 2 teams I think that have Pro Bowl level players at every position on the field. And I think it's not even close. Then you go into your next wave, your Kansas City, Denver, Washington, Tampa, who are probably missing like one piece on the field as far as Pro Bowl level player. And then Buffalo, Chicago, San Francisco. I think Chicago, people are sleeping on this Chicago roster. And I think they're missing 1 or 2 pieces as far as Pro Bowl level player at their positions where this team is going to be really good. And Tampa, I think, is not getting talked about enough either. I mean, we're talking about Baker Mayfield, who's coming off of almost throwing for 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns this past season. They found their running back of the future with Bucky Irving, who's going to be coming back in, you would assume just as good as last year's his rookie year. They add Emeka Egbuka to this receiving room in the draft. So now you have Mike Evans. They re-signed Chris Godwin. You have Emeka Egbuka. You have Jalen McMillan, who was a rookie last year, who played pretty solid. So, I mean, we're talking a potential of Baker 5,000 yards this year. So
5,000, really? Think so?
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, He almost did it last year, and he didn't have Chris Godwin for most of the year, and Mike Evans was gone for most of the year as well. So,
I'm a big Baker fan, so I hope he does that.
So, and again, Chicago, I don't think people are talking enough about Chicago to, they were put on ESPN. I think they were rated like middle of the pack, like 15, I think it was. But again, if we're looking at just Pro Bowl level player on at each position, I mean, they almost have one pretty much at every position. So those are my rankings. Again, I think Philly and Detroit by far have the two best rosters in the league. And it's not a huge gap between them, but there is a gap. And I think those two clearly have the better roster than everybody else. And then you get into, Baltimore, Kansas City, Denver, and all of them. This ranking wasn't as egregious as the quarterback one, kind of. So I don't really have much on that besides just that. But again, I think the only areas that, teams like Chicago, if I can get this to click, Chicago and them were missing. So like the only thing, the Bears, I don't think they have a Pro Bowl level they were missing one Pro Bowl level running back. I don't think DeAndre Swift is a Pro Bowl level running back. I think he's a very good running back, but it would take a special year for him to make a Pro Bowl. So I think they're missing that. Tampa, the only thing they're really missing is a Pro Bowl level tight end, which Baker, I think, is good enough to potentially create one if he really wanted to, but that would take, taking the ball out of the hands of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Igbuka, and them, and I don't think you really want to do that. So, but yeah. And I mean, like I said, everybody else, the Chiefs, I think, are just missing a Pro Bowl level running back. Baltimore, I just don't think they have a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. I haven't seen enough of Zay Flowers to say he's a Pro Bowl level wide receiver.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think they're now. That's not saying that their receiver room isn't good. I do think this is the best receiving room Lamar has had. Now, in saying that still includes an older DeAndre Hopkins and then Zay Flowers and then Rashad Bateman. But Rashad Bateman finally had a great year last year, so you assume he comes back this year.
It was about time.
And then you just need Zay Flowers to stay healthy, basically.
Yep.
So, and I mean, outside of that, listen, for our team, Doug, the Colts, we're not far away. I
think that ESPN had him at 25th, 26th.
Yeah, and I don't think we're that far away. And I get it because it's the quarterback position. That's what they're looking at. But you don't have a Pro Bowl level quarterback. And I think as of now, until I see what Tyler Warren looks like on the field, we don't have a Pro Bowl level tight end.
But that kind of goes with the QB, though.
Yeah, but Jonathan Taylor, Pro Bowl level or running back, obviously. Sure. I think when you look at the Colts, I think with the right quarterback, either Josh Downs or Michael Pittman is a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. Line, Quentin Nelson, Pro Bowl, and Bernard Raymond, 2 Pro Bowl level offensive linemen. D-line, you can go DeForest Buckner or Grover Stewart, 2 Pro Bowl level defensive linemen. Zaire Franklin, Pro Bowl level linebacker. Travarius Ward and Cameron Bynum, 2 Pro Bowl level secondary players. Like, the roster's there. You got to figure out this quarterback position.
QB away, man. And I know that's the most important position on the field, but
it's not the problem to have.
They better be switched. I mean, I don't know what they're going to go with. I think maybe this is another topic we can actually talk about when it comes closer, but after preseason. But the Colts are going to have to figure out who the hell they're going to stick with. I mean, I think if you keep changing in and out like that, it breaks the confidence of whoever the opposite player between Richardson and Daniel Jones.
Well, it's a little easier with somebody like Daniel Jones who's been in that position already, so he kind of knows.
He's been bounced around. His confidence is not.
Yeah, his confidence isn't the greatest right now. So, but in AR, he's young, still trying to find his mojo. But
yeah,
I don't know. I need one of them to just figure it out, though.
Yeah. Anyways, we can talk about that another topic. But the one that interests me the most that you were talking about is the Chicago one. Where did NFL have them?
I believe it was.
I mean the ESPN. I'm sorry.
I believe it was 14 or 15.
So you had them all the way up in the top 10 at 9.
Yeah. So Minnesota was 11, Tampa was 12, Houston 13, Green Bay 14. Yeah, Chicago 15.
So you're really high on that roster.
I mean, and like I said, they're real because I think obviously Caleb Williams is a Pro Bowl level quarterback. Despite all the BS last year, he still had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got DJ Moore. That's a Pro Bowl level, a wide receiver. And you've got Cole Kmet. They just drafted the kid from Michigan, Colston Loveland. You got two potential Pro Bowl level tight ends. You've got a Pro Bowl level O-line, a Pro Bowl, O lineman, Pro Bowl level D lineman, Pro Bowl level linebackers, Pro Bowl this is going to come down to essentially, how quick, especially a season, how quick can, Caleb Williams learn this Ben Johnson offense. And I'll tell you, if he can pick it up like that and just go, that this roster is ready. The roster itself is ready to go. Because again, I say DeAndre Swift, I don't think he's a Pro Bowl level running back. I think he is a good running back. So it's not like they're missing a running back, but it's going to come down to Caleb picks it up and goes. Yeah, this roster is ready to compete. It's just going to fall onto the shoulders of Ben Johnson and then Caleb.
Yeah. So when you're right about this and the Bulls, the Bears, we're going to go ahead and write ESPN a letter saying you should just write this article next year.
Yeah. So Chicago, on here for them, they said biggest strength, the offensive line, which is amazing considering last year they were a horrible offensive line. And now it's their biggest strength. Biggest weakness they put on here, running back. Obviously, they said, DeAndre Swift is good, but not great. The X factor, Caleb Williams. And then the non-starter to know was edge rusher Austin Booker from Kansas. So, again, I think this roster is ready to go. It's just going to, again, fall on the shoulders of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Can Caleb, take the torch and become the first Bears quarterback in Bears history to throw for 4,000 yards? And, is Ben Johnson ready to be is Ben Johnson one of those ones that, great coordinator, not good coach, or can he be great coordinator and great coach? So
it's a lot of things good. Yeah, there's a lot of things good about this roster. Because Ben Johnson, this is his first year, right? So yeah, if that works out, if he works out as a head coach, this we'll be seeing the Bears in the playoffs again for sure.
Yeah, and if you don't, it's because that division is just
ridiculous. Yeah, that is a tough division.
The Vikings really good, Packers really good, Lions really good. That division is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But sticking to the topic of the NFL, Doug said Cam Newton versus everybody. Why is everybody attacking Cam Newton? So what are we talking about? So last week we did the QB rankings. The ESPN QB rankings came out. We talked about it. We gave you our opinion. Well, Cam Newton also gave his opinion on the situation, and people took offense to what he had to say. And specifically, it was about Jalen Hurts. It was kind of almost similar to what I said last week, where he said, listen, Jalen Hurts is a very good quarterback, but, everybody was saying he should be top 5. Cam did not believe he was a top 5 quarterback. And basically what Cam was saying was, you can agree or disagree, but he said, the Eagles winning doesn't solely come on to Jalen. He was like, for you to be a top 5 quarterback, you should be the reason your team wins a lot of times. And he was like, it's not the case. But he wasn't trying to just completely disrespect Jalen. He was just he gave his opinion on it. And again, whether he's right or wrong, it's his opinion at the end of the day. Well, our good friend, and I say good friend because it seems like we talk about him once every 2-3 months because he's in something that's controversial. Ryan Clark decided to go on ESPN and say something that Cam said. And what does Ryan do that Ryan typically does all the time? Because he doesn't like what somebody else said about somebody that he likes. Ryan tried to take a personal shot at Cam. Well, now everybody's in an uproar because Cam responded and went personal back at Ryan Clark. So I'm going to play a video from Cam's response, but the first part, because I can't find the Ryan Clark part of this. The first part, Ryan Clark went on ESPN and was like, Cam made a comment, yada, yada, yada. And I guess beforehand, which I didn't see this either, Cam had said something about Ryan Clark, about something that he had said also about Jalen Hurts. So he was trying to take a shot back. So I don't know if maybe Ryan thought that was personal and he decided to go personal back. But Ryan had said when comparing Cam Newton and Jalen Hurts, he said he started going through what Cam has done compared to what Jalen's done, and he took the shot at. He said Cam went to the Super Bowl and forgot his Superman cape. So that was the personal shot that Cam obviously took offense to. And again, his response to, and not only was it Ryan Clark, Dan Orlovsky had something to say as well. So he kind of went at everybody that had something to say. Gilly the Kid ended up having something to say. So this is from Not Huddle Shorts, but so this was Cam's response to Ryan Clark.
So since that we want to attack the messenger, Ryan Clark. Okay, let's pull up your stats. Second team All SEC in 2002. We cannot relate. Then you had one Pro Bowl in 2011. We cannot relate. So if you want to unlock Petty Cam and everything that Cam Newton has ever said on this 4th and 1 show has always been backed by merit and logic. But some way, shape, form, people keep attacking Cam the person or why he didn't jump on the fumble, why he didn't do this or comparing and contrasting. So when I compare and contrast you guys' statistics and Dan Orlovsky, never mind. But as we keep going and we keep unlocking and keep poking the bear and y'all want to play this game, I can play this game too.
Dan Orlovsky? Never mind.
Yeah. So
the guy who stepped out the back of the end zone.
Yeah. So again, it's I don't know. I don't understand why we decide to take so I don't understand why we take personal shots. Why Cam's sharing an opinion. He's on a podcast just like on his podcast, just like when Ryan Clark's not on ESPN, he's on his own show /podcast /YouTube, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. So if Cam gives an opinion, just because you don't agree with said opinion does not mean we take personal shots. If you're all buddies in a group chat and everything, and all this, and, your buddy said something you don't, that's different. But we don't I don't give my opinion and you run to your other show and try to take personal shots at me because you didn't like what I had to say. That's what I don't like. And again, it's like how Cam opened up. He said, you're attacking the messenger and not the message. If you have something to say, be like Cam said something here the other day and attack what he said. Don't go after who said it. That doesn't make sense. Because again, by doing that, you're opening up personal shots. And Club Shay Shay, Shannon and Ocho Cinco obviously went on and had their opinions on it. And Chad said the same, or Shannon said the same thing. He said, I don't agree with what Ryan Clark did. He was like, you don't go kill the messenger, kill the message. And, but the other side of this, the flip side of this, and Chad had said this also, why they may or may not do this. This is entertainment at the end of the day. If people like us are talking about this. So that's what, maybe they do it just for that, maybe they don't. But again, I don't believe in taking personal shots at somebody just because you don't agree with their opinion. It doesn't make sense.
I think normally when people resort to that, they don't have a response to the actual message that was being said. So they resort to personal insults. It seems like that's what Ryan Clark does. I just don't know if he just doesn't care enough to put any actual work into responding to the actual message, or if I don't know if he just might be that type of bully to go right after personal insults like that. It actually shows a lower sign of intelligence.
And that's the thing. And I would give Ryan Clark the benefit of the doubt, on one scenario. But this is now multiple times you've decided to take personal shots at people. Like when he had the whole beef with RG3, you're going to take the personal shot and say RG3 has a white wife, so he doesn't understand what, black struggle is. What is that? So, I mean,
Cam's right, man. Attack the message. Don't attack the messenger. That's right. Really what it boils down to.
Again, people got to remember, Cam is on a podcast giving his opinion. He is allowed to say whatever he wants. If it's controversial to you and you want to be one of those ones that say, well, he does this all the time and he does controversy, that's his thing. If he wants to be the controversial guy and take the controversial route, so be it. But it's his opinion at the end of the day. And it's not like, and Cam said, just like he said in that video, all his stuff has came off, merit and everything else. It's not like he says, hey, this is factual information, because, it's his opinion. Now, he's going to use certain facts to try to help develop his opinion, but that doesn't make it a fact. And again, rankings, we've talked about this before, rankings are all skewed. Rankings are based on how you view, people or quarterbacks or basketball players or whatever you're ranking. It's all opinion based at the end of the day.
Isn't it at the end of the day, every job when it comes to sports commentating, isn't it all just a personal opinion base? Unless you're bringing up actual stats.
Yeah. Now you want to, quarterback rankings, and you want to do, all time and all that and start bringing in accolades and stats and all that. then yeah, you can get a little bit factual, but still at the end of the day, it's still also opinion based because there's going to be controversy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't.
Taking that personal shot just makes no sense. Think of a better response to the message.
Yeah, and again, I would give the benefit of the doubt if it was anybody else but Ryan Clark.
Is that strike 2 now at this point, or how many does he have? Or is he out?
He might just be out at this point. So, all right, moving on to the meat and potatoes portion of this video. Like Doug said, we have college football coming up. This past Thursday was actually the last Thursday, and this past Thursday and Sunday, actually, what was the last 2 Thursday and Sundays that we would not have football of some sort.
Love that.
We have, obviously NFL camps are going on right now. You have NFL preseason coming up. College football is, a month away. So we're going to dive into a little bit more college football as the weeks go on. We're going to go, Power 4 conferences each week, and we'll eventually lead to, our CFP predictions and all that. So I have the ACC today, and Doug, from what you said earlier, you're about to see all of it come to fruition right here. So these are my ACC predictions as soon as it pops up right here. So I have team schedule. I'm not going to go through everybody's schedule, obviously. But with conference record and overall record off to the side there as well. So obviously this is all going to be based off what your conference record is, because that's how the ACC and conferences work. So just going down the line. So I have Clemson top of their leaderboard in the ACC. I think it's without saying, I think they run the table, go undefeated this year, run through the ACC, finish 9-0 in conference play, and we'll pretty much represent the ACC as at least one representative in the college football playoff. I think this Clemson defense just alone going in is reminiscing of the Clemson defenses that played in and won national titles before. So, right behind them, I have SMU. I think they go 11. I think SMU is still a really good football team. I think they go 11-1, only lost to Clemson, at Clemson, 8-1 in conference play. Georgia Tech right behind them. Again, and Georgia Tech and we'll just go Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami right behind them at 7-2 in conference play. So I already see you looking, Doug. Louisville, I just have losing to Clemson at home and then at SMU. We talked about that SMU game's a trap game already.
Yeah, that game's gonna suck.
But I mean, I think Louisville Clemson is going to be a good game because you're talking about going into a Friday night game. Both teams, I mean, from what I have, going to be undefeated going into this game. We're talking potentially 2 top 10 teams going into this game. Because it's a late in season game, so who knows what's going to happen throughout the rankings between then. So you're talking about 2 potential top 10 teams playing on that Friday night. Again, I just think Clemson is just a little too good.
Yep.
And then that's a trap game right afterwards against SMU. Win or lose, that's a trap game, especially if you win. But so Louisville finishing 10-2, 7-2 in conference. Now I think there is a potential. I think realistically, there's only 2 ACC representatives in the college football playoff this year. I think you could get up to. I think the highest you can go up to is 4, but I highly doubt they would take a quarter of the college football playoff and give it to ACC teams.
Yeah, you're talking Clemson, SMU again.
Yeah, I think you're talking Clemson and then whoever finishes second. If it is Louisville, if Louisville ends up finishing second, I think they could go there. If it's Miami, they could go there. But so and then just going down the line, Duke, Florida State, NC State, all 6-3. Duke going 8-4. I actually really like this Duke football team a lot. I think scheduling. I think they can get through some of the. So I mean, at Syracuse, I have them losing. I think that's still a winnable game. I think Georgia Tech at home for them is still a winnable game. I think the only non-winnable games for them this year would be at Clemson, and I really think that Illinois is a really good football team going into this year. So I don't think they're able to beat those 2. But you're talking potentially 10-2 Duke, possibly, which is weird to say. But Florida State, I don't think they're that good going into this year. I think Thomas Castanella's talking about how you don't have Nick Saban to save you is absolutely insane. they might get ran through when they play Alabama. But yeah, I don't think Florida State's that good. I think NC State could be a potential another sleeper to be really good. Again, that Duke game is still a winnable game, obviously. Pittsburgh, obviously, I just think that's one of those like trap games for them. So I had them losing that one. And then Miami is still a winnable game. I don't think Miami is as good as everybody likes to think.
Yeah, they're really high.
Well, and it's because at one point last year, Carson Beck was a projected first round draft pick quarterback, so that's what they're going off of, and he's not that good to me.
He's not with one of the Cavender twins or whatever anymore. Now, dude, he's not gonna be that good.
But so yeah, and then you have obviously you see in the middle, and then right at the very bottom, I mean Stanford and Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest might be Stanford. I think has a good look at a future now that they have Andrew Luck. Once they find a coach, Frank Reich is going to take the reins this year, but he's not the long-term answer, I don't think, going forward. But Stanford and Wake Forest in the bottom of the barrel in the ACC for me.
Yeah. So, what about Wake Forest is going to suck. What about Bill Belichick? First year, North Carolina.
So they're kind of right there in the middle for me. I had them going 5-4 in conference play, 8-4 overall. So not a bad.
First year, yeah. That's not a bad first year if that this pans out.
Yeah. So if you look at their schedule, they get TCU. I think that's obviously a very winnable game for them. Yep. Then you go at Charlotte, Richmond, which you would kind of hopefully assume to relatively easy wins. Central Florida, that could be a tough one for them. That could be one that they lose. I have them winning. I don't think you beat Clemson. I think the Cal game could be tougher for them, but I have them winning. You beat Virginia. I think you lose at Syracuse. You beat Stanford and Wake Forest, and then you end the year losing to Duke and NC State, which I know that's what no North Carolina fan wants to hear. They don't want to hear losing Duke and NC State, but
whole state.
Yeah. So, but hey, you get the Wake Forest win. So
yeah. How many plays is his girlfriend gonna call? Any bookies?
I don't know. Ask Shane Gillis.
That was a great joke. Shane, if you're listening, that's a great joke. Probably not listening, but that's
okay. But yeah, 8-4. I feel like your first year in college football, still figuring out everything. You don't really have the roster necessarily that you fully want. I feel like 8-4, even if they go like 7-5, I think anything above 6-6 for them is anything 6-6 and above is a solid first year for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, and I actually think he's going to have some real success at this level.
Well, and that's
just going to take him a few years.
And that's the thing. Even with the guys he has, I'm just taking into I know who Bill Belichick is, and I know at bare minimum he's going to have that defense ready to go week after week. So.
Yeah. Yep.
That's where I'm more so when I go 8-4, that's where I'm more so I'm trusting more so in Bill Belichick and being able to coach a defense up and the defense being able to put you in a position to go 8-4 more so than your offense. So yeah, I think Clemson is without a doubt the best team in the ACC, one of the better teams in the country. SMU right there, you have Kevin Jennings back as your quarterback, which is the biggest piece. So, and then, like I said, I don't think, but the thing is, even with SMU, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Miami aren't far behind them. You could interchange any of those teams into that second spot behind Clemson, and I would be okay with it. So, but, Georgia Tech is still going to be really good. For them to end the year the way they did, even though they lost to Georgia, but, they pushed Georgia to, what was that, 7-8 overtimes? You push Georgia to their absolute limit. Georgia Tech, they started the year with a bang last year by beating Notre Dame. So
yeah, and with them getting Clemson so early in the year, I do think that that game,
and it's at home.
Yeah, that home game for Georgia Tech against Clemson is going to be better than people think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if they were to upset them, that early in the season.
It'd be awesome.
But I feel like Clemson at NC State and then Georgia are three respectable losses for them for the year.
Yeah.
So Doug, you're the ACC guy with your team being in the ACC. So what do you think of these?
Honestly, I like the picks. I like how you have Georgia Tech, Louisville, and Miami all around that same line, because it's probably true. I was trying to look around and see what would I change in like the top 5 there. Honestly, I don't know if I would change much. I think you got Louisville right on. I do think that if we go in undefeated that home game against Clemson, Friday night game, as you're primed for an upset with that.
Potentially. And my opinion could change between now and then, obviously, too, because it's all going to depend. It's all going to depend on how well Miller Moss plays.
Yes, our success is dependent on him for sure.
Because I think
the rest of the team is there though.
Yeah, you have the defense now. Granted, you got pieces to replace from last year's defense. It's not easy to fill.
Yep.
Ashton Gelati and Quincy Riley's shoes,
Yep.
but you got a good defense still. You've got the receivers. You've got a fantastic running back. This is literally all going to fall on to 2 of them, and this is really going to fall on to can Miller Moss at bare minimum play a Jack Plummer level.
I think Miller Moss is going to be. He needs to play at a level of a little bit higher than game manager. They're gonna lean on the run game most of the time, but can Miller Moss make plays when he has to and manage the game? That's what Tyler Shuck was so good at. He managed the game very well.
When you needed him, he showed up.
When Brom called his name, he made the plays. Yep. So that this Miller Moss's script is going to be the same as last year for Tyler Shuck. He's going to be held to that same standard.
Now we've talked about this. Miller Moss is probably, you would say, out of the there's only been 2 since Brom has been there. He's, I would say, the more talented quarterback of the 2 that he's had. Talent-wise, he's the more talented quarterback he's had.
Sure. I mean, Tyler Shuck's a good quarterback. He's just, he's more mature. I mean, he was 26. I mean, he'd been playing college football for a long time.
Which also made it way easier for him last year. There's not a whole lot he hasn't seen at the college level.
Yep.
So it was an easy transition. Kind of the same for Jack Plummer. Jack Plummer had been around for a while, and he had also been in Brom's system at Purdue.
Yep.
So it was an easy transition for those 2. So now this is really the first time where Brom's had, I don't want to say young because he's still a senior, but a younger quarterback than he's had, and a quarterback that hasn't played his system. So in one way or another at some point. But again, more talented quarterback. And this guy did come from Lincoln Riley. So if you can get any stretch of Miller Moss of what he did against you all 2 years ago in the bowl game.
Tore us up, man. Tore us up.
I mean,
someone just posted that video on X.
He came in and threw 6, 7 touchdowns against you all?
7 touchdowns, yeah. Dude's got an awesome arm. I mean, he's a good arm talent for sure.
So yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to pass protection and Miller Moss.
Yeah. Yeah, the ACC, I think, in its own right, it's going to be a good, good conference this year. There's some decent teams at the top there. I mean, we're nowhere near the caliber of SEC or Big Ten still, but
no, if you ask Rhett Lashley, you are. So
no, I just don't. Not yet. I mean, we need more teams. Like let's just say Duke continues to be a consistently good team like that. That helps. Florida State gets back to their caliber. That's going to help. And then if North Carolina with Bill Belichick ends up being some sort of small powerhouse, that's going to help the ACC too. So we're in a good spot for 5 years to come, but you never know. There could be conference realignments and all kinds of shit. So
and the other problem is you got teams trying to get out too,
right?
So
so more that'll be interesting.
So
I like the breakdown though. It's good. This is good.
So there's the ACC breakdown. All the rest of the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC will be just like this. So they'll be all like this. So So I have Clemson. So I guess I'll do this real quick. I'll have Clemson SMU ACC title game, and then I'll have Clemson winning the ACC, as I said, representing the ACC in the college football playoff. Potentially SMU as well, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think the only thing going against SMU for that is even if they go 11-1 and they lose to Clemson in the conference title game, I think the committee may look back to how they played in the CFP last year and go, we don't want to repeat that.
Sorry.
So, but if this happens, let's just say in a scenario, right, for Louisville, they beat Clemson at home, but they lose to SMU that next week. So that would put them instead at 11-1, 8-1 in the conference. So theoretically, at all three of those teams at 11-1, Louisville, SMU, Clemson, that would actually push Clemson out of the ACC title game because you all would hold the tiebreaker over them, and then SMU would hold the tiebreaker over you. Well, actually, I don't know how this would work because if Clemson beats SMU, yeah, Clemson beats SMU beats you all, and you all beat Clemson. I don't know how that tiebreaker would work.
Would it go to like points scored?
Let's see if I can try to figure that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting because that would that would be for ACC commissioner, the ACC board or whatever. They'd probably hate to have that happen. They're like, shit. Yeah, I mean,
tiebreaker rules in the ACC. So it goes head-to-head competition between the tie teams. Win percentage versus all common opponents is the next one.
Win percentage. Okay.
So I don't know how they break that down. So, but the next
It
one
has to be
after
points.
that,
Like, how much did you win by, right?
I mean, maybe. But then the next one is combined win percentage of conference opponents. And then the tie team with the higher ranking by the team rating score metric provided by Sports Source Analytics following the conclusion of the regular season games. But Louisville being 11-1, if they looked like a pretty dominant 11-1, just minus that SMU game, I mean, I could see where the committee would go, all right, we'll take our shot at Louisville.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you beat Clemson, yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
Especially if you beat Clemson, and let's just say in this world, you like I said, that same scenario, but it still ends up after all the tiebreakers going Clemson SMU ACC championship, and Clemson winning would help your scenario in that point. So you could say, as a team, Clemson just won the ACC title and is in. We beat Clemson, so I mean, there could be your argument. I'm just being real.
I don't know. Louisville always has one fuck up in there.
And
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, real quick, go look at your schedule. You said Louisville always has one fuck up,
at Miami.
So you think that's a fuck up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should beat them, but I think that's your most likely case that you're going to lose a game.
So
or at Virginia Tech.
I was gonna say, so my losing to a team you probably shouldn't game for them. I don't think would be Miami because Miami is still outside of whether you.
If you're saying more than you shouldn't, then yeah, I guess at Virginia
I would
Tech.
say the two games that you would have to worry about as far as a game you shouldn't lose would be this one and then this one at Pitt and at Virginia Tech.
We've never played well at Pittsburgh for some reason.
Well, yeah, and like we said, especially if it's raining.
Yeah. I hope it's sunny and 75.
So, but those are two games that I could see that would be your, fuck up. We lost a game we shouldn't have. If you do, so.
Well, we'll talk about it if that happens, and I can vent.
No, because then you're gonna come back and shoot the messenger and be like, "You put this voodoo on us."
No, we don't do that. We talk about the message. We don't shoot the messenger.
Good job. Way to not be like Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is my ACC breakdown. Next week we'll do Big Ten. As you see, the tab has already been started in the top corner up there. So
tabs are gonna grow.
Yep. So next week we'll do the Big Ten.
So I do have something for you, Clucas, after this.
Okay.
So do you know? I don't know. You may have seen this, but it's on college football. Bill Conley. He posted his best coaches in college football. Had a ranking 1 through 30. Okay. I'm just gonna read them off real quick. And I want you to tell me what's wrong with this list.
Okay? All right, 1 second. 1 second. So I can write these down so I can remember them. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So the number 1, they had Ryan Day. He had Ryan Day. 2, Josh Heupel from Tennessee. 3, Kirby Smart. Okay. 4, James Franklin. 5, Dabo Sweeney. 6, Dan Mullen. 7, Lane Kiffin. 8, Brian Kelly.
There's so much wrong with this already.
9, Jeff Traylor from, I guess that's Oregon State. Nope, that's not Oregon State. Who is that?
You said Jeff Traylor?
Traylor, that is, who is that? What is that bird? I don't know that symbol. Jeff Traylor.
Texas, UTSA.
Yeah, UTSA. So he's got him at 9.
Yeah, that's okay. 10,
Mike Gundy from Oregon State. Godum, number 11 from Purdue. Number 12 was Billy Napier. 13 was Kalen DeBoer. 14 was Kyle Whittingham from Utah. 15 was Jeff Brom. 16 was Ryan Silverfield from Memphis. 17, Kirk Ferentz
from Iowa.
Ferentz, yeah, sorry. 18, Brett Bulimia. Bulimia? Is it bulimia? Isn't that a disease?
Brett Bulimia.
Bulimia? Oof, sorry, Brett. Sorry about that. 19, Hugh Freeze. 20, Matt Campbell. 21, 22, Jamie Chadwell. 23, Mark Stoops. 24, Bronco Bronco Mindahan. I don't know how you say that name. Mendenh.
Me and
ENH. He's from
the Virginia
Utah
coach?
State.
Okay.
Anyways, we can keep going.
Yeah, you're good.
25, Willie Fritz. That's Houston.
Yeah.
26, Lincoln Riley. 27, Chris Kleiman from Kansas State. 28, Dave Doran.
Doran from NC
Dorian.
State.
Yep. 29 was Steve Sarkisian. And 30 was Matt Rule.
All right, so let's talk about the elephant in the room of what's missing. Where the fuck is Dan Lanning?
Dan Lanning. Where's the fuck is Marcus Freeman?
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But where's Dan Lanning?
His guy writes for ESPN since 2019.
Bronco Mendenhall. Okay.
Mendenhall. Yeah, sorry. I botched a lot of last names.
So let's start from the top here. All right, so sure, I'm never going to argue saying my coach is the best coach in college football. So I'm good there. Josh Heupel, I think, is really good. But to say second best coach in college football is absolutely absurd. Kirby Smart, who, whether I believe the man essentially should still be a head coach or not, just based on how his players act outside the field, but still a great coach, like as far as just football goes. What the fuck has James Franklin done to be in the top 5?
This whole list is horrible.
I mean, my God, Brian Kelly being that low is absolutely insane. And I know people are going to come at me after the, or, and be like, oh, well, how can you say what has James Franklin done versus what has Brian Kelly done? Okay, sure. But Brian Kelly wins and has won some big games versus James Franklin can't beat Michigan or Ohio State. So I like that he does give some shout outs throughout here to some of the lower, level schools, the Jeff Trailers at UTSA, Ryan Silverfield at Memphis, places like that. So, okay, yeah, because those are coaches we don't necessarily always look at because of where they're at.
Sure.
We don't look at them until we really, if we're going to be real, we don't look at them until, the Alabamas and, Ohio States of the world are looking for coaches. And now those names come up and now we know who those people are all of a sudden. It's funny how that always works out. It's funny how I always love when some, it's the same for basketball too, but football, they're like, oh, who's going to be the next coach at Alabama? And yeah, it ended up being Kalen DeBoer. So, but I'm just saying, then all of a sudden they're like, dude, they're saying we're going to get the offensive coordinator from Utah State. Have you seen the offense he's ran the last couple of years? It's going to be such a great pick. You had no idea who he was 5 minutes ago. All right. You had no idea who this guy was 5 minutes ago. Yeah. Kalen DeBoer just went to a national title game 2 years ago. So how's he that low? Yeah. Where's Dan Lanning? Where's Marcus Freeman? Marcus Freeman just played in a national title game this past year. Matt Campbell's way too low. Matt Campbell should have, but that's also kind of his fault. He should have left Iowa State years ago. Mark Stoops. Hold on. Mark Stoops, and this is coming from a Kentucky guy, okay? Mark Stoops being on a list above Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman, and Steve Sarkisian is absolutely. I would only post this for troll purposes. My coach is better than yours, apparently.
Maybe this was what Bill Conley was doing, was trying to troll people, but didn't seem like it.
I mean,
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Probably too much to even unpack, to be honest.
I mean, Steve Sarkisian being that low is absolutely insane. Steve Sarkisian's a top 10, top 5 coach in college football.
For sure.
Dan Lanning is a top 10, top 5 coach in college football. Marcus Freeman is a top 10, top 5 coach in college football. I would have gone Ryan Day 1, and just quick, I'm not going to do all 30, obviously.
Yes, your top 10.
I would go Ryan Day 1. I'm not going to argue that. That's my guy.
He just won a national title, so.
Yeah. I'd go Ryan Day 1, Kirby Smart 2, 3.
Give me Dabo. I mean, Dabo's accomplished quite a bit. He's still a good head coach.
Yeah, but I got to take several things into consideration. 1, what have you done lately? 2,
you just went to a playoff.
And then got ran through.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But also, the refusal to use transfer portal and everything kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, you're in an era where people are better than you because they're using said information and you refuse to use said information. Like,
sure.
I would probably go, so just accomplishments, you would go Dan or Dabo. But I think when I'm looking at everything, I would probably go, I don't know, this is tough. I'd probably go Steve Sarkisian, 3. 4, I'd probably go Dabo. 5, see, and this is where I leave out one of the two. So if I'm going one of the two, I would put Marcus Freeman at 5, just because he just played in the national title game. With Dan Lanning at 6, going through this list, is there anybody at the bottom here that I'm missing? I would probably go Kalen DeBoer at 7. God, Billy Napier being that high too is absolutely nuts. We're talking about a guy that was talking about getting fired last year. I'd go Josh Heupel at 8. I'd probably give the nod to James Franklin at 9. And then 10, I'd probably go, no, let's backtrack. 7, Kalen DeBoer. 8, I would go Brian Kelly, which would leave 9, Josh Heupel, 10, James Franklin. Because Brian Kelly's still a hell of a football coach.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, yeah, and I love Lane Kiffin, so I'm not mad about where he's at. Like, regardless, take accolades or anything into it. I just love Lane Kiffin. I do really like Jeff Brom. I feel like Jeff Brom will be up there eventually. I think he'll get more recognition if Louisville makes a playoff.
Yeah, a combination of that and the way he develops quarterbacks.
Lincoln Riley would have easily been top 5 on here had he not just completely fallen off the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And then like Greg Schiano's done nothing as a head football coach. He's more known as being a coordinator. Kirk Ferentz hasn't ran a post 1960s offense ever. Kyle Whittingham is a very good coach at Utah. Billy Napier, again, we were talking about this guy just getting fired. Mike Gundy really hasn't been that much relevant at Oklahoma State, really, but consistent, so you got to put him up there. Dan Mullen just got fired from Florida a couple of years ago and is now coaching at UNLV. Yeah, I don't know what this guy was doing.
I think he just rolled dice or like told Siri to pick a random team.
I think he picked I want to say if I'm looking realistically at this list, he picked the top 5, which was Ryan Day, Heupel, Kirby, Franklin, and Dabo, thought that was good, and then just spun a wheel on the rest of them. Whatever it came up is what we went with. I mean, my God. I will say, though, the 2 names at the bottom of this list that I would keep an eye on that I think have a potential to be really good is Willie Fritz and Matt Rule.
Okay.
I think Willie Fritz, because he's got something building at Houston for the next couple of years. So I think they're going to be respectable this year. And then next year, I'm making sure I'm correct on this. Yeah. Next year, he's got the number 2 overall quarterback in the recruiting class going to Houston.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So they've got potentially... They've got something. I couldn't remember if it was the top quarterback, if it was this year or next year, but it's next year. But yeah, I mean, they got something cooking down in H-Town. So,
okay.
But yeah, I'd go Ryan Day, Kirby, Sark, Dabo, Freeman, Dan Lanning, DeBoer, Brian Kelly, Josh Heupel, James Franklin.
There you have it. Klukes' college football top 10 coaches.
Just don't understand how you don't have Marcus Freeman or Dan Lanning. It's just...
That's
just mind-boggling.
Yeah, the comments on
we can
were insane.
We could talk about the other coaches that are actually on the list and where they are, but the coaches that just aren't on the list is insane.
Everybody's got their own opinion, right?
Yeah, hey, killing the message, not the messenger.
That's right. We're putting them on T-shirts. We're putting that on T-shirts. We're going to sell them. Probably not.
That guy's name was Bill Conley.
Bill Conley.
Conley, ESPN. All right. Well, oh my God. I see the list now. All right. But yeah.
That does it for us.
Next week, Big Ten coming in. Yeah, Big Ten. A lot of things coming up here. A lot of football coming up here in the next couple weeks.
A lot of football.
Going to be a lot of content to talk about.
Yes, sir. So everybody get football ready. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.